composite, and I'll get your perspective on it at the end here, of a day in the life of a teacher going through the digital transition. So I apologize if any of you get seasick or woozy, and especially after lunch. Just put your head down, read your email. All right, listen to my voice, but do not look up at the obnoxious transitions. All right, so here it is. I'm going to give you the 10-minute version. We're going to turn it over to Matt to give you a sneak peek at what's happening at Discovery. Okay, so 7:21, and we'll say that this is a 6th grade teacher's classroom in Harrisburg City, Pennsylvania. Okay, so 7:21, this particular teacher, after her husband has made her a fruit salad, because he's that kind of guy, she goes to school. All right, and she gets in at 7:21. She checks her email, has a cup of coffee, gets on Twitter and reads a few tweets from her friends. And these are people that are part of her professional learning community. So Dory, who actually is from Texas, shared something that was interesting. Robin, who's just an hour up the road in Pennsylvania, shared an excellent guide to iCloud. And then she also connected with our Discovery Education Twitter account, because we post all sorts of great stuff there. And this happened to be the announcement of our Summer Institute, where we take about 125 educators that are part of our community to a really special location, and this year it happens to be Vermont. So a couple minutes, scarfing down some coffee. All right, now 7:33, the children are about to come in, so I need to do a quick check. And I jump into my science tech book, and I see how the students did on that little spot check for understanding. I gave them, 5 to 7 to 10 questions just to see where they're at, and this is the beauty of digital. Because when we talk about all of these things, what do we want our kids to do? That's what drives it. What do we want kids to do? We want them to create. We want them to engage. We want them to smile. We also want all these wonderful things, like we want them to be caring people. So how do we help facilitate that with technology, with digital? Well, here's one of the affordances of it is, in 5 minutes, this 6th grade teacher can take a quick look at how did everybody do last night, look at the item analysis, and say everybody missed question 3 or everybody missed question 4. And then the beauty of this is we can tie that back to really great resources. So here's a quick video segment, or here's an animation, or here's a reading passage that'll help you. So I just do that, just to see where I'm headed in science that day, because why move on if 90% of my class didn't get it, right? It's not punitive, it's about learning. So 7:55 now, bell rings, the kids come in. I have them all day. I'm the self-contained teacher, so I'm doing my kind of morning bell work, paperwork, and I have the student news up for the day.
A solar-powered airplane is flying across the country. The plane stores electricity in batteries so it can fly at night as well as day. The goal is not speed, but endurance, and to demonstrate the ability to stay in the air for long periods of time.
So that's their quick little prompt for the day as I take attendance and all of my housekeeping stuff. All right, so bell rings, we say the pledge, 8:10. Now it's language arts time. So language arts with 30 kids at different reading levels and probably 120 minutes of language arts time. I have it broken out where I'm doing a centers-based approach. So with a small group, my guided reading groups, we're using short little video segments. It's all around figurative language today. I have another group of students, and I don't have a ton of computers. Maybe I have 5 in my room, or today's the day we get the laptop cart. All right? But I have a few of them working on their writing prompt. In groups, I have them designing and developing these boards, and Matt's going to give you a sneak peek. You'll be one of the first groups, literally, and I know people say that to you all the time, but literally you'll be one of the first groups to see this. All right? Where I have another set of students that are actually working on their figurative language digital boards that they're going to share out and present. All right? So we rotate through that. It's a centers-based environment. It's 9:52 now. Time to move to math. So with math, what am I addressing today? All right, so I've jumped in, I've pulled out content that's aligned to my standards, my Common Core standards, and I'm going to use a quick little activator, all right, because we're talking about median, mean, mode, range.
Teamwork's an important part of many sports. Without teammates, it would be pretty hard to score the winning goal, make that basket, or catch the touchdown pass.
Okay, so 60-second video to get the kids focused on what we talked about yesterday, what we're introducing today, and then actually they're going to do a hands-on activity. Heaven forbid, we're going to pull the computers away from them for a second. They're going to go do some sort of hands-on activity, data collection. This is shameless too. It's like contractual. I have to put at least 3 pictures of my wife's class in every presentation I do. All right? I will say this though, pretty amazing. I mean, you guys see it every day, but I pop in once a month, like bring some sort of fun prize from someplace I've been and then leave. Like this is Jalen. He is now probably, I mean, it's amazing in, 8 months. So anyhow, so they do this hands-on data collection for the kids who weren't here yesterday, because we talked about mean, median, mode, and range. I just pull out these quick little, another buzzword. I think it fell out of the top 5, but it's in the top 10. All right, one of these little flipped videos where students who weren't here yesterday, I can just say, go to the center real quick, review what we talked about so that when you come back in, you'll have a sense of what we discussed yesterday. All right? So very hands-on, very broken out, differentiated. Now it's 10:46. Is this realistic timeline, by the way? No. My wife is like, it takes me a half an hour to show the kids a 2-minute video segment. So in my made-up fantasy world, it's 10:46 Eastern, and we are now in social studies. All right.
Yeah, right.
So for social studies, was that the year right to teach? We don't teach social studies, or?
No, that's
Yeah,
like 10
transition.
You went straight through that, they'd be asleep by then.
Oh yeah.
They get tired.
No, I'm tired just even talking about this. I don't even have to do it. I don't know how you guys do it, because I mean it exhausts me to even talk about it now. So social studies, we're using, Matt will give you a sneak peek, of our social studies textbook that is really designed around an inquiry process. All right, so it's not a technology tool, it's your core curricular resource. So how do we start that? Well, here's our prompt. All right, because we're talking about, the Britain versus the colonies. All right, talking about Revolutionary War. So here's our prompt for the day for their journals, whether they're digital on their phones or whether it's an old-fashioned paper journal that they're reflecting on. Okay, so we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So this is our 5-minute prompt, and I tell the kids, all right, put that in your own words. Somebody want to give it a shot?
Marriage?
Marriage? Marriage, well, fortunes, definitely. So when I've done this before, I've heard folks say, and it's come up a couple times, like this is one of the connections of a digital textbook. This is part of our digital textbook. It's like, oh, it doesn't really look like the Jetsons. It's just really good content, right? That I got your back. It's basically what that means. So we use that as an activator to frame our lesson in social studies, because today then we're doing this digital investigation in teams. 6th grade, working in teams of maybe 3 or 4, doing this digital investigation, because then we have a friend who has set up a connection with us in England to Skype with a 6th grade class over there to share perspectives on this topic, right? All right, so now, it's only 11:21, right? Moving on.
And the classroom is still in the classroom in England at 6 o'clock in the afternoon?
They've accommodated us. Yeah, so the question was, is that class still in England? Are they staying at school for 6? We're very egocentric, so yes, we were making them stay at school until 6 o'clock. All right, so now it's lunchtime. So here's my to-do over lunch. I'm going to read the DEN blog, our Discovery Educator Network blog, to get up to speed. I'm going to scan my emails from my principal, because as teachers, as former 6th grade teachers, that's what I did every lunch, made sure that I was on top of what you guys wanted me to do. Watch the webinar archive, set up my lab activities, and maybe eat lunch, which, by the way, thank you for the lunch today.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. All right, so I'm checking out this quick little archive of notebooking and journaling with tech books, because we're doing that this afternoon. So now I've scarfed all that down. It's 1:27. We're into science class. So science, we're also using a digital textbook. But what does that look like? Well, quick activator, we do a spot check on. We introduced yesterday, we're having this discussion about the concept is matter and the states of matter. So we're doing a quick vocab review, but for students with different learning styles, it gets represented in different ways, in animation, a video, an image, etc. Okay? We're also breaking this out where some of the kids are working on a hands-on activity, and some of them are working on the digital exploration. All right, so none of it is me standing in the front. It's some kids are working on the hands-on piece, some are working on the digital piece, because we only have 5 computers in our class, or whatever it might be. All right, so science, really leads us to the end of the day. So the end of the day, what's homework? Well, homework can be digital, or homework can be on a notebook, or homework can be whatever you want homework to be. It doesn't matter when you're making this. This is the biggest question. After Matt gives you the sneak peek, we'll kind of come back and share some of the, in addition to York, we've pulled out some of the biggest lessons learned from the districts that have made this shift that we've worked with. This is the biggest issue, because this is the issue of accessibility. How, as a principal, as a school leader, do I encourage folks to take my district or take my school this direction when I know 30% of the kids at home have access and the other 70 don't? Well, we'll talk about that, because there are ways that, we'll talk very bluntly too about ways that districts have handled that, because it's important. But we don't have to do this. We can do homework and access at home a variety of ways. All right? Kids now leave after the bell. I'm connected, so I do a quick Google Hangout, because we got together with my small cohort from teachers from around the country. So this guy's actually in Wisconsin, those two on the end are in Chicago, and we're doing a quick little Google Hangout, which, by the way, how many of you would use what we used here to connect with other principals, with each other, or with your teachers? Do you think that would be effective? And it's free, right? Right? Will it drop 1 out of every 2 times you try and use it in the middle of the school day?
Yes.
Quite honestly, probably, right? But reboot. Reboot, give it a shot. I think the value of being able to, you guys, you don't get to see each other a lot, I'm sure. All right? So throughout the year, you can use something like Google Hangouts or even Skype. The beauty of Google Hangouts is it gives you that Brady Bunch type, you can have 15 people in there at a time for free chatting. Okay? And all you need is a Google account. All right, so as a teacher, I'm doing this because this is enhancing my own professional learning. All right, I learn from the teachers in my building, but I also learn from teachers in Wisconsin and Chicago, etc. All right, then before I leave, I'm still at school, but in my world, it's only 3:20. I've gotten all this done by 3:20. All right, I'm checking my students' Edmodo accounts to see what they've posted, what they've reflected on for the day. All right, so that's a day in the life of a digital transition. So here's the question. I want you all to take out your phones. Take them out, turn them on. Okay, for what percent of your teachers is this a typical day in the life? What we just went through, which I know is exaggerated, but for what percent is this a typical day? And so the way, how many of you have ever used Poll Everywhere? Oh, so here's the, we're gonna close. There are about 4 of you, okay? We're going to close today with kind of 10 practical tips on what you could go back and do. But the biggest one, what it comes down to, as somebody who taught, as somebody who lives and teaches vicariously through a 6th grade teacher, as leaders, as principals, if you go back and you say, I was at a workshop today and I heard about Poll Everywhere, and you send your staff an email, they'll love you. And then if you do that tomorrow and share another one of the great resources Hall gave you, they'll love you. That's what I really took out of, I keep pointing to him like he's still here in a box, just sitting there eating his lunch in Virginia. Dr. Williams shared about modeling. So modeling this whole idea of being a modern learner. So, the way this works, so for those of you that haven't got it in yet, you're going to text the code to 37607. So 37607 is the person. Okay? That's the person you're sending it to. And then your response, this is going to be your message. So is it less than 10% of your teachers, your colleagues, that's pretty accurate for? Or is it 25, 50, 75, 90? All right, so take a minute, try that. It's a great, quick, formative assessment spot check tool for the classroom as well.